Ever get that feeling like you're one good book away from a totally different life? That's how I felt after Atomic Habits.
Oh, yeah.
So get ready,
Yeah.
because today's deep dive
Yeah.
is all about how tiny changes can lead to some seriously big results.
It's true.
And we're lucky to have you here to help us unpack it all.
Yeah, happy to be here.
So we're talking small changes, big impact.
Yeah.
And one story from the book really brings this home.
Okay.
The British cycling team's incredible transformation.
Yeah. So their story.
In the book, like, they barely even mention what the book's about in that story.
Right.
They're just like
just an example.
and then they won everything, and you're like,
Right, exactly.
wait, I need to know more.
Well, they illustrate perfectly what Clear calls aggregation of marginal gains. So before the 2000s,
Okay.
they were practically invisible on the world stage.
Really?
Yeah, they weren't really anybody.
Wow.
And then they brought in a new performance director who decided to overhaul everything, focusing on these tiny improvements
Okay.
that on their own might have seemed insignificant.
Like what? Give me the inside scoop. What kind of changes are we talking about here?
Okay, so they obsessed over every single detail.
Okay.
Like, we're talking testing different massage gels to shave, like, seconds off recovery time.
Right.
Figuring out the absolute best pillow and mattress combo
Oh, wow.
for each cyclist's sleep.
Wow. Okay, that's dedication to detail.
Yeah.
But it gets even better, right?
Yeah.
Didn't they do something unusual with their team truck?
They did. They painted the inside of the truck white
Why?
to make it easier to spot dust. That could affect the bike's performance.
Oh, wow. They weren't leaving anything to chance.
Exactly. Wow.
Wow.
And this approach, this relentless pursuit of tiny gains, led to an unprecedented winning streak. Olympic gold medals, Tour de France victories. They dominated.
That's incredible. It really makes you think twice about those quick fix promises we hear all the time, doesn't it?
It does, yeah.
Like we always
Real
want
yeah.
the shortcut. Yeah.
The shortcut.
But it seems like,
Yeah, we often crave those instant transformations, but the truth is,
yeah,
lasting change usually happens gradually.
totally.
Yeah.
It's like you said, it's those small, like,
Small things.
yeah, it's not about being perfect overnight. It's
Right.
about taking those small but consistent steps forward.
And the best part is this principle applies to pretty much every aspect of life. Your finances, your health, your relationships, your knowledge. You name it. Even small, consistent improvements can lead to those remarkable results we're all after.
So we're not talking about making drastic changes overnight.
Yeah.
We're talking about building a system
Yeah.
for continuous improvement,
Mm-hmm.
one tiny habit at a time.
Exactly.
But let's be real.
Yeah.
We've all started new habits with the best intentions,
Mhm.
only to, like, fall back into old routines after a week or two.
Of course.
So how do we make those changes stick? What's the secret sauce?
Well, Clear has a lot to say about that, but I think a good place to start is this analogy he uses.
Okay.
It's a great analogy for why those early stages of habit formation can be so deceptive.
Oh, I love a good analogy. Lay it on me.
So imagine an ice cube sitting on a table,
Okay.
and the room temperature is below freezing.
Okay.
Now imagine slowly raising the temperature.
Okay.
1 degree, 2 degrees, 5 degrees.
Mm-hmm.
You wouldn't see any visible change in that ice cube burn.
True. It's still an ice cube, just I guess it's slightly less cold one.
Exactly.
Mhm.
The temperature keeps climbing, 28 degrees, 29, 30, 31, still no change. But then we hit 32 degrees.
Uh-oh.
Suddenly, the ice begins to melt. That
Yeah.
1 degree difference, seemingly no different from the increases before it,
Yeah.
unlocks this huge transformation.
It's like those first few weeks of a new workout routine or something.
Right.
You might not see a huge difference in the mirror,
Mm-hmm.
but all those consistent efforts are building up beneath the surface.
Yes. And Clear calls this the plateau of latent potential.
Yeah.
It's that period where you're putting in the work, but you're not seeing the results yet. And it's so easy to get discouraged. Right?
Oh, totally. You think, is this even working?
Exactly. And that's when people give up right on the cusp of a breakthrough.
Oh, it's so true. It happens every time.
Right.
But knowing about this, like this plateau of latent potential,
Mm-hmm.
it's like having a secret weapon
It is.
against discouragement, wouldn't you say?
It is. It's like,
Okay, I'm not seeing the results yet,
yeah,
but I know they're coming.
you're on the plateau.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Just got to keep going.
Yep. And that brings us to one of the most powerful ideas in Atomic Habits, and that's shifting our focus from goals to systems.
Wait, hold on. Are you saying goals aren't important? Because
No.
most self-improvement advice is like,
Of course.
set your goals. What do you want?
You need a direction.
Yeah, exactly. So what's the big deal about systems?
Oh, so you're right. Goals are important for setting a direction.
Okay.
But Clear argues that they might not be the most effective way to actually make progress.
Really?
That's where systems come in.
Okay, so what's the difference? In simple terms,
Yeah, so
what do we talk about when we say systems?
think of it this way. Goals are about the results you want to achieve,
Okay.
like running a marathon,
Mm-hmm.
writing a book, or doubling your income.
Okay.
Systems are the processes that get you there. It's the step-by-step roadmap to reaching that marathon goal.
So it's less about the destination and more about, like,
Exactly.
building the right vehicle and planning the best route to actually get there.
100%. And here's the interesting part. Clear says even if you completely ignored your goals and you only focused on your system, you'd still likely achieve great results.
Wow, really?
Yeah, just imagine a basketball coach, for example, who was solely focused on their team's daily practice, their system.
Okay.
They wouldn't need to obsess over winning the championship.
Right.
The wins would naturally follow.
So it's like the system takes care of itself, kind of.
It does. It really does.
That's fascinating. But why? Why are systems so much more effective? Like, I'm sure there's more to it than just, like,
Right.
trust the process, right?
There are a few reasons. One is that it shifts your attention away from that one big, often intimidating goal and onto smaller, more manageable actions you can take today,
Right.
which makes the whole process feel less overwhelming
Right.
and more sustainable in the long run.
That resonates with me because I know for me, sometimes even just thinking about my long-term goals can feel paralyzing.
Exactly, exactly. And constantly focusing on the end goal can actually restrict your happiness because you're always putting off satisfaction until you reach that next milestone.
Right, right.
But with a system-based approach, you can find joy in the process itself, not just in the eventual outcome.
So it's more like
Yeah.
enjoy the journey, not just the destination.
Exactly, precisely. And then finally, a goal-oriented mindset can actually hinder long-term progress because once you hit your goal, the motivation disappears and you're more likely to slip back into old habits.
Oh, yeah.
But with a system, you're focused on continuous improvement, refining your process, regardless of whether you've achieved a specific outcome or not.
Right.
It's about building lasting habits, not chasing fleeting achievements.
I love that. It's about progress, not perfection.
Yes.
So how do we actually put this into practice? How do we create a system that actually works?
Well, this is where Clear's breakdown of the habit loop comes in.
Okay.
It's a 4-step process that explains how habits are formed and, more importantly, how we can use this understanding to create positive change.
All right, the habit loop. So it sounds almost too simple,
Yeah.
but I'm guessing it's more powerful than it seems at first glance.
It is.
So break it down for us. Like, what are the 4 steps?
Okay, so the 4 stages are cue, craving, response, and reward.
Yeah, okay.
And it's essentially a cycle that your brain goes through every time you perform a habit.
Okay.
The cue is the trigger that kickstarts the behavior.
So, like, if I see a notification pop up on my phone, even if I know it's probably just another spam email,
Right.
that's the cue to check it.
Exactly. That cue then leads to a craving. That's the motivational force behind the habit, right?
Okay.
But the thing is, you're not actually craving the habit itself.
Great.
You're craving the change in state it brings. So you don't crave scrolling through social media.
Right. You crave the distraction or whatever.
You
right?
crave the distraction, the novelty, the feeling of connection it provides.
Oh, that's interesting. So it's like our brains have learned that certain actions
Yes.
lead to certain feelings, and we start to crave those feelings, even if the actions themselves, like, aren't even that great.
Exactly.
Interesting.
And that brings us to the response, which is the actual habit you perform. Checking your phone, grabbing a snack, going for a run, whatever.
Okay.
And then finally, there's the reward.
Okay.
And the reward, this satisfies the craving and reinforces the habit loop, teaching your brain, hey, that felt good, let's do it again.
So by understanding these 4 steps,
Yeah.
cue, craving, response, reward,
Yep.
we can actually start to kind of consciously change our habits.
Yes.
We can, like, set ourselves up for success
I got it.
instead of
Fighting against ourselves.
exactly. You become the architect of your own behavior. That is empowering. You know, I think we often think of habits as being restrictive,
Mm-hmm.
but after reading Atomic Habits, I actually start to see them differently.
Yeah.
It's like good habits, the right habits,
Yeah.
they can actually create freedom, wouldn't you say?
100%. Yeah, because think about it.
Yeah.
When you've got those foundational habits in place,
Right.
when, like, the basics of life are running smoothly on autopilot,
Mm-hmm.
Your mind is freed up to focus on the things that truly matter.
Totally.
You have more mental bandwidth for creativity, for tackling new challenges, for pursuing your passions, all that good stuff.
It's like decluttering your mind, the same way you declutter your home.
Yes.
Like you get rid of all the unnecessary stuff
Yeah.
that's taking up space.
All the mental clutter.
Yeah, and then suddenly you can breathe and you can focus on what you actually want to create.
I love that analogy. And, it ties back to that desire for efficiency, for not
Right.
feeling overwhelmed.
Totally.
Right. Good habits help us streamline our lives.
Yeah.
Freeing up time and energy for the things that truly matter. And that's really what it's all about.
It's not about becoming a robot or anything.
No, not at all.
It's about, like, designing a life
Just speaking about designing a life.
that you actually want, that supports your values.
Yes,
So we've covered a lot of ground today.
we have.
We've talked about British cycling, the power of tiny changes, the importance of systems over goals, this whole habit loop.
A lot.
As we're wrapping up here,
Yeah.
what's one final provocative thought that you want to leave our listeners with?
Okay, so here's something to ponder if you really think about it.
Okay.
Is there any area of your life that isn't in some way shaped by your habits?
That's a good question.
Right. From your health and your finances to your relationships, your career, even your creativity. Our habits are the invisible architects of our lives.
That's a really powerful way to look at it.
Yeah.
Because it really highlights, like, how much control we actually have
Yes.
over the way our life ends up.
Yeah, it's empowering.
Just by making these small changes
Small changes, yeah.
to our daily routines.
Exactly. And it's never too late to start building those atomic habits that will shape the person you want to become.
That's a great point to end on. So to all of our listeners out there, think about what is one small habit that you can commit to improving this week. Maybe it's drinking more water, going to bed 15 minutes earlier, or incorporating that quick mindfulness exercise we talked about last week.
Those are great.
And remember, even the smallest actions, if you do them consistently, they can create huge results over time.
They really can. That's the beauty of it.
Awesome. Well, thanks for joining us for this deep dive, everybody.
Thanks for having me.